Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in sunny Mesa, Arizona. I am joined by Chuck Meyers this week, and we're gonna talk about how he's realized he's working to go broke, and that is not a fun place to be, but it is an awesome realization because Floor Academy can help you fix that. That's why we're here. That's why this show exists, is to help you stop playing contractor and become a businessman, woman, business professional, knowing your numbers, knowing what it takes to run your business, knowing what it takes to have a profitable household, be able to provide for your kids, and, you know, making sure that you can get yourself set up for retirement while pushing this industry forward in a positive way instead of keeping it in the dark ages where bad training and bad business ethics and things just keep it in the dark ages. We're done with that. We're moving forward. Let's see here. I'm all thrown off because it's a new year and sponsors have changed, and now there's not any at the beginning of the show. Okay. Chuck, tell me who you are, what you do, why you do it, and then we'll dig into your background a little bit further from the quick overview.
All right. I'm Chuck Meyers, owner, operator, everything doer at Meyers Flooring. I do carpet, LVP, LVT. Basically, if it goes on the floor, I've had my hands in it in some way. And I do it because I love the job. You know, it's nice to see something from the beginning to the end and being able to step back and say, "Hey, I did that." You know, it's a good feeling at the end of the day.
For sure. I'm with you. I think the instant gratification you can get from this trade is absolutely amazing. You are in the Metro Detroit area, and you've been on your own since 2000. Well, you've been on your own since 2010. You got started full time 2008, 2009 in there.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, went on your own. What was your training like? Like, how as a we were talking before we started. So you were called a helper. As a helper, what'd you get out of it? Like what kind of training, what kind of help from the boss, what kind of business education, like what was that all kind of like?
So I got trained by two different guys. The first guy I got trained by, which was, he took a chance on a young kid, didn't finish high school. I happened to be walking by the shop one day. He was like, "Hey kid, you want to make some money?" Essentially. And I was like, "Yeah, let's go make some money." And basically I was a tool runner, really. I didn't know anything. He didn't really let me do too much. He was one of those guys that kind of was a gatekeeper of the trade, if you will. He didn't want to teach anything. He let me do pad. Never. I didn't do the general helper stuff where, okay, after a month, let's see if you can do some stairs. Let's get you running a stretcher or anything like that. It was pad and rip outs was all I was doing for probably the first, I don't know, 6 actually in the industry. And that was it. The second guy, he was like, "How long you been doing this?" I said, "Oh, maybe a year, give or take." He's like, "Okay, what can you do?" "I can put pad in really good, I can rip the carpet out really good, really fast." But I got most of my training and understanding of the business as far as like, you got to make sure that you make enough money this week to be able to at least pay your bills and get supplies for next week. That was always the mentality, and that's kind of stuck with me up until the last couple years. And, great installers that I worked for, they were the guys that never got callbacks. So it's, you can learn while watching, but it's obviously better to learn while doing.
No, totally agree. I think that that's the point here is like contractors great with their hands, not necessarily great with numbers. Like, sure, we can read a tape measure and work out numbers like that, but on the business side of things, like the numbers that truly matter, most of the time it's a complete flop. So essentially, I mean, you got good hand skills. You were eventually trained and allowed the good hand skills, but there was never an encouragement of like, hey, like what do you want to build in your life? What are your dreams? What are your goals? What's your aspirations? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be able to do? It was, man, we just got to make enough to be able to pay you, pay me, and buy some tack strip and pad for next week and some glue and seam sealer so we can move on to the next thing and do this all over again. Man, dude, that's rough. I got like, that's just, it's rough. It sucks. I know it's happening everywhere, and it's like, it's disappointing. And so I think that's why I'm very excited about this interview, because like you've come, like you said, over the past couple of years, you've started reconsidering things. But as we were talking earlier, you've binge listened the entire catalog of Floor Academy almost in like 2.5, 3 weeks. And there's 110, 120. I don't know how many there are now. There's 2 years worth of content plus a couple months. There's probably like 120 episodes. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, like I said, every waking minute, like I haven't listened to the radio in 2 weeks. Like, and I'm driving 2 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
and podcast is on. If I'm up and doing something, I got my headphones in, or I'm driving in the truck, it's on.
That's crazy. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're finding it like helpful. So what were the things that started kind of like waking you up over the past couple of years that you were like, okay, this is not the situation I want to be in anymore. Like something has to give. And then what was the point you reached that was the tipping point to like finding the podcast and reaching out to me about the calculator and all that stuff?
Honestly, it was waking up sore, to be completely honest. Like there was no light at the end of the tunnel, in 15 years or whatever. Because I mean, this industry, there are guys that are able to do it for extended amounts of time,
Mm-hmm.
But there's another installer that I see from time to time. He does some subcontracting work for the store that I sub through. And I want to say he's probably, like 60 years old, and he's one of those real old cats. He's hunched over, his fingers are all gnarled up and everything. And I thought to myself, man, why is he still doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And then finally I worked up enough courage to ask him. I was like, hey, man, why are you still crawling around on the floor? He's like, oh, I have to. I didn't make enough money in my, prime.
Yeah.
To put anything away. So I'm stuck working basically until I die. And I see so much of that it's, I don't want to be the hunched over, 60-year-old guy still showing up to work.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able, the game plan now is to be able to retire by the time I'm 50.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Get aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. It's scary to see that and hear those stories. And like, I don't do the subcontracting thing. I'm not around the shops, but like I said, I know this stuff exists. I see it in the groups. I have enough conversations that I know it exists, that there's guys they're going to die on the floor because it doesn't pay enough. And there's no excuse for it not to pay enough.
Yeah. And then your podcast, like I think I came across it. Ken
Mm-hmm.
from FIA posted something about him being a guest on it, and I was always really impressed with like his work. That he's an extraordinaire. None of his jobs ever look bad. Everything, he cuts individual pieces of tile and Like, man's a masterpiece worker, you know. So anything that he's ever posted that had anything remotely to do with like business or like getting things done, I always followed very closely. And when he said he was going to be a guest, that was when it started. You know,
Okay.
I just, oh, I'm going to listen to this podcast. Ken was on it, so I'm going to listen to every single episode. And it's, I mean, obviously it woke me up. You know, I've
Yeah.
seen the whole picture, not the big picture, the whole picture.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, I mean, you sat down with your numbers recently.
Yeah,
Like you reached out and you were like, "Hey, man, how do I use the spreadsheet that you keep talking about and all of that?" So you downloaded it and you've been running your numbers, and
yeah,
you've been like sending me like little messages, like, "Man, this sucks. Oh, it gets worse." So
yeah.
where are we at? Like, based on what, like, I don't know how you did it. I'm assuming you kind of put in what you're doing now and where you want to be. So can you take me through kind of like, you don't have to, whatever you're comfortable with, right? Like, I don't have to know your whole financial history, but essentially, like, where are you at now? Like, how bad is it compared to where you want to be that you feel would make it really comfortable?
Um, so I used, I basically copy and pasted what you had up there, and you know, I crunched in my own numbers. There were a couple things, you know, that were obviously different just because of like region, you know, with insurance and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Um, but to get to that, you know, $434 mark per day, um, it's going to be tough, you know, especially if you continue like me, if I continue to work through the store and, you know, subbing all my work, I don't honestly see it happening.
So how it's
Um,
$434 per day?
yeah,
Okay. And
and it
so
was
what, so what does that pay you annually? And then what is that profit for the company? Like what is, cause I know like my number's $1,100, right? So like what does 434 get you? Because that seems way too low to me. I'll be honest.
okay. So the 434 is to make $100,000. Like obviously running the same numbers that you had, you know, minus my cost to go to work. Like essentially, I've come to the conclusion that for me to get up and go to work, period, I have to make $293.03 to break completely even. That's covering all my work expenses, my tool expenses, truck, trailer, paying my bills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, I honestly I got to make like $600 a day to gross like of taxable money to hit that $100,000 mark. Like this following December, I want $100,000 in my savings account. That's the goal.
Well, no, you're going to pay yourself that. You don't get to keep all of it. You got to pay
Oh
bills and
no,
stuff. No.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm accounting for that though. Like I got to hit.
Okay.
I think it's 650, $700, and that's you know obviously not being able to take the wife out to dinner twice a month anymore. You know, so there's going to be more. There's going to be less here and there because no week
Okay.
is ever the same.
Okay. And so at your current, like where you're subbing, so if you got to hit like 650, we'll just call it 650. How much do you have to get done in a day through that store to hit those numbers? Like, is it even realistic to lay that much carpet in a day?
Carpet, no. Like getting into you know like your Cortex, your laminates, stuff like that. Doing hardwood installs, yeah, definitely feasible. But I mean, I'm not. I'm more. I'm still learning the hard surface portions of the job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've only been doing that for I don't know 2.5, maybe 3 years tops. I would never call myself a master installer or anything like that. Anything that's hard surface. If it comes in a sheet, sure. I've been doing it for so long I could do it in my sleep. But I mean that's 100 and so it's 700. I'd have to lay like between 110 to 140 yards of carpet a day
Jeez.
by myself, because I don't have a helper, there's no apprentice, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just me.
So what 110 is going to be? It's essentially like 1,000 square foot house by yourself. Which, if it's occupied, there's no way that's
Yeah.
happening. I
Yeah,
think
no, it's not.
if you could go into a vacant new build, maybe,
Oh yeah,
correct? Okay, but
absolutely.
that's
I mean,
insane.
on jobs like that, I'll stay late and finish them in a day. It's if it's a work day, I'm staying until the job's done anyway.
But
So
you can't. That's the other side of this coin is that you can't. This is designed. You got to meet this in 8 hours. This
yeah,
this is not a like I work 14 hours to hit this number. This is I have my number. I got to be able to do this in 9 to 5, 7 to 3, whatever like 8 hour period you want to do it. Like let's have a normal work day because you
yeah,
can't be out there killing yourself for 14
no,
hours a day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever it's gonna like. You can't. That's the whole
yeah,
point
no,
of all
it
this.
adds up. Like I want to say probably like 4 years ago, I was doing it where it was Monday through Saturday. Uh, I was doing the big box store thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to prove a point, and I was doing the 14, 16-hour days, Monday through Saturday, and it sucked. It was a terrible year. I made a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but I spent most of that money to be able to continue working because I was driving, up to Swartz Creek. Swartz Creek is like an hour and a half where I or lived at the time.
Okay.
So I was driving 3 hours a day to go to work and come home. So I would work for 16 hours, drive for 3 hours, come home, go to sleep, maybe eat at home, and doing all of that in 5 hours. It
Yeah.
didn't add up.
No, you can't. That's not sustainable,
No.
especially if you're not being profitable, right? If there wasn't anything left in the bank account at the end of the year because it all went to gas and supplies,
Yeah.
something's wrong with that picture.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you've worked through it. Like essentially, we were talking, and like you're pretty much going to work, and you feel like you're losing money right now. So like, what do the figures look like right now that's really the case? I know the one example you gave me was your like trash disposal, but are there other places that you looked at it and you were like, me just waking up and going and subcontracting for this shop, like I don't know how I pay my bills because it costs me more to work than I bring in.
I really like so the trash disposal thing is it really hits home because like I got a text message over a nickel difference over a rate. And when you look at it in the bigger aspect, like okay, most of the subs at the same store, they're driving vans. Okay. I have a brand new truck, I have a brand new trailer. My gas costs more money because I'm hauling the trailer. Uh, and like I don't think that like the store owners that sub out the work really are grasping the concept of like our vehicles cost money. Us driving back to the shop at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
that costs money. We're going out of our way to drive back to the shop. I mean, even if we don't go back to the shop and we go home, we're hauling an extra 400, 500 pounds in garbage back home to instead of bringing an empty trailer back to the shop in the morning, we're now hauling this garbage around and that's costing extra money. And then like I'm not so much upset about the rates. There are little things here and there. I mean, obviously I'm upset about the rates because I'm not making enough money.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get the dumb little text message from time to time about a nickel, 10 cents, it makes you think. Like I went to other stores this past week and people are paying 150% of what I'm getting, where say I'm getting $5, another store down the road is paying 750, you know. And like the 750 sounds a lot better, but then, you lose money somewhere else. It's doesn't matter what store you're subbing through, you're losing money somewhere where you're getting more money somewhere else. You're still
Mm-hmm.
breaking even. You're getting about the same dollar amount.
Did you ask in like you've been listening? So did you walk in and ask them all to see your rates, or did you go in and present rates to any of them and say this is what I want?
So when I originally hired in there, like we were discussing before the show, I started in, and all the guys that had been subbing at the store for X amount of time actually lost money when I started. So everyone was making it, they're a set rate store. Like, this is what you're getting paid. There's like two guys maybe that make more money, but it's because they've been there for, 30 years or whatever.
Okay.
Um, but it's a set rate type pay. Like, I can't, if I walked in, say tomorrow, and was like, this is what I want, I'd probably more or less get laughed at. Because I brought up the dollar a square foot thing for carpet, and the two salesmen for the store that were sitting there that I was chatting with kind of laughed at it.
I don't think that they believe. Like, here's my biggest thing is there's people out there getting $1 a yard. There's people getting $1.25 or $1.25 a square. So it's what's nine. That'd be like 10.25 a yard, I think, if my math is right. 11.25. Whatever.
I think it's 11,
9
yeah.
to 11.25, right? You're gonna add 2.25. Yeah. So there's people getting $9, $10, $11 a yard probably out there. I know 9 for sure. The fact that people, it's the same thing that happens in the groups. Oh, you can't do that. There's no way you're making that money. Why? What do I have? Like, I get that there's some people that probably lie about their numbers, but like, I don't have a reason to lie about the numbers I'm charging. If you don't believe enough that you can go out there and sell it, you're the problem, not me.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, I don't think those salesmen think they have the ability to go out and sell it at 9 a yard.
See, and that was my thing, like, because I asked, I was like, well, you guys ever tried to?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, we don't need to.
Why
Well, yeah,
not?
you don't need to, but I need you to. I need to make some money also. And it's not like I've gotten a little bit nosier the last couple months. I've been asking about sales margins and what's your markup on this? What's the markup on that?
Mm-hmm.
And like I sat down and crunched the numbers on, I grabbed a random piece of carpet off of one of the displays that had like their install rate on it. And I added up the math, and like the store is making 1.5 times what my labor rate payout is on said job after accounting for overhead
And paying out the commission.
Yeah, like the store, and I understand like there's employees there that are hourly rated. That money's got to come from somewhere.
Correct.
But would it hurt to have that number maybe cut down a third?
Well, why can't the rate just be increased? Why can't your end of things just be increased? This is what I don't get it. I really truly don't. And I understand like I don't have the shop and all the overhead yet, but why can premium prices not be sold at? Why can rates not be increased slightly? Like, it just, and this is why I don't deal with that system, folks. Like, I don't like people touching my pie. I want to know where the pie's going. And so, if I have to take it home and share it with my family, it's cool. Like, my wife can have a piece and my kids can have a piece, but I'm the one like, I get to divvy up the pie and figure it out. I don't understand the store system where like, yes, everyone has to share the pie, but you think you get way more. Like, I understand being a business owner and taking all the risk. I get it. I really do, because I'm in that boat. My bank account funds every install I put in. But there's room to share with the person I'm training and out there doing the work. They need to be able to succeed in life as well. I don't.
Yeah.
There's more money out there. Like, I don't know what people are so afraid of. If all the rates go up, then people just have to accept that that's where the rates are now. It's not an arbitrary thing. It's, hey, look, we got our shit together. Like, we realized we were doing this wrong, and this is where we're at now. So if it would be really, you're never going to get the entire nation to like collude and everyone just increases the rates $1. It's not going to happen, but it can be little pockets happening, and it will influence everywhere else. And that's what I like seeing, is like, you're part of this group of people that's come along now, and you're like, something's not right. I'm going to be a difference maker because I care about what I do and I want to succeed. And I don't want to have to do it when I'm 80 years old and hunched over.
Exactly.
I think that's fair. So, I mean, you've sat down, you've talked, the salesmen have like laughed at you, and they think you're foolish.
I think I'm nuts, really.
Yeah, I believe it. And so you kind of know what's going on in the store. You know what's going on with your numbers and where you're at. I mean, now where do you take this?
Well, I've come to the conclusion that, okay, my carpet rates need to go up. That's just how it is. If I'm going to continue to be at said store, the rates got to go up.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not making money, why am I working? Or why am I continuing to do what I'm doing if I'm not making money?
Okay.
So if the rates don't come up, I got two options. I can try and find a new career, which I would hate to do because I'm over a decade invested into this career,
Mm-hmm.
or B, just do my own thing.
Okay.
And I mean, I love the flooring industry. I met great, amazing people. I've met people outside of the industry that I wouldn't have met because of the job. And, I would hate to walk away from something that I like so much. How many people get to wake up every day and say, hey, I like my job? That's a big bonus for me. Even making, not the greatest money right now, I still like my job. I'm still going to get up and do the best that I can every day.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very rewarding career path. And I don't blame you for not wanting to leave it, but I don't blame you for wanting to be able to make a decent living either. It's a given. Like, we destroy our bodies so other people can succeed. Like, one of the things that stands out to me is, so you can go get an FHA loan for a house, but the government in the stipulations of that loan says when you close on that house, it has to have a floor. So the concrete does not count as a floor. The subfloor, the OSB or plywood subfloor, does not count as a floor. It has to have some kind of sheet good, carpet, laminate, vinyl, hardwood. Something has to be down on it. So the government says there has to be a floor. Well, I guess that's an important factor of things. And there's only so many skilled people that can make that happen. Why am I struggling? Like, you have to have a floor in your life. It has to exist in order to have that type of a loan. And lots of people use FHA loans. So apparently somewhere, like, this is an important thing. Why are our installers struggling to live if it's a required thing? Like, the prices should be way higher. And the other thing is, you're talking about, like, you make less doing carpet, which has never made sense to me, why it wasn't immediately apparent when, like, laminate got really popular and all the shops were able to start carrying it and whatnot, that the carpet guys didn't just go and throw a fit and be like, why they make so much more money in a day than we do. Like, this isn't right. Like, it's the same. I'm doing the same amount of work either
It's
way.
almost triple on average.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Like, my rate of pay needs to be like, and this is why I like the spreadsheet, right? Is it tells you I have to earn X amount per day, and like, don't get hung up on the day, folks. Get hung up on weekly, monthly numbers. Like, you might do more one day because you're trapped in a, or less one day because you're trapped in a small bathroom in a hallway, and the next day you have an 800 square foot living room you can bang out in a day. Like, it's going to balance out over a week and a month,
Yeah.
but it gets you somewhere to start looking at, like, how do I find a way to make this 400, 500, 800, 1500 a day, whatever that number is going to be. And it doesn't matter what surface you're going to go put in. The calculator doesn't care. At the end of the day, you need X amount of dollars. And so I don't understand, like, that. I don't get how carpet people, installers, have never like revolted against the system and been like, we're not doing it anymore. Until the pay is equal. Like, it doesn't matter that he goes out and does this. Like, it's the same amount of work to me. You're covering the same amount of space, and okay, so maybe the laminate takes more time, right? But like, it is paying more. How, like, there's, figure out the equivalent, right? Like, if I can only do 60 yards in a home in a day because it's occupied, and I can do the same, like, 300 or 400 square feet of plank, the pay should be equal on those, in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. They should be, or at least close enough to where that you don't really notice a pay difference even would be, I mean, fine. You know, I broke it down to get like my square footage rate on carpet.
Mm-hmm.
And with the rates I'm at right now, I'm getting about, I think it was 57 cents a foot. And when I do, you know, your laminate, Cortec, LVP stuff, I'm at $1.40 a foot, $1.65, depending on, you know, thickness of product.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, I can slam in a whole house of Cortec, and, you know, we're talking 1,600 square feet in 2-3 days by myself. Now you get into doing carpet, you can do that all in a day, sure, but your back's fried, your knees are done, shoulders hurt. You know, you got to carry 200-pound rolls of carpet up 2 sets of stairs, and you really, the pay for carpet versus what you're doing to your body doing carpet, it doesn't equal out. That's the biggest problem, I think, in the industry is, honestly, I mean, we have to carry our own health insurance, you know. It's not worth it at that rate.
Yeah. And I think you're not alone. I know that there's people that just outright have, like, they have carpet skills, but they refuse to touch it anymore because they can make better money elsewhere doing less damaging things to their bodies. And there's other people that continue to do it because they're stuck. Like, that's what they know how to do, and they've got a family to feed, and they're stuck living paycheck to paycheck, and they can't get out of that cycle. They have to take the work. But at what point do you, I don't know, man. I just get fed up. Like, that's why I work on my own. I can't, like, I just, it wasn't, that system wasn't going to work for me. And I don't know how you stay there. I don't, and not at least fight or say something. There was in one of the groups at one point, I saw that, like, a bunch of dudes in Colorado, maybe, like, that worked for Empire went on strike with their local, like, Empire, and they ended up getting a little bit more money. I don't know, like, I don't know exactly how it turned out, but they ended up getting some more money. So it's happening. I would love to see it on a grander scale. There's got to be something from this industry. If there's truly an installation crisis and all these shops are struggling to hire people and they have so many jobs backed up, then they should be able to bid all of their jobs higher, in my opinion, because now you just have jobs you can't fulfill for a longer period of time, which means you're booked out further, which means increase the prices. There's a demand. When demand is high and supply is low, prices go up. So why are prices not going up? Why is pay to installers not going up? That none of it makes any sense. And in my mind, it's this system set up to try and control the installers and control the flow of money and power. And like it seems to me retailers want to feel like they can have their thumb on the installation crews. And this isn't all, look, this isn't everybody. I know some really wonderful retail store owners, but it seems like there's going to be a power struggle, and it's going to come at some point. It's going to go down. And if the installers are going to wake up and realize that the store's 8 months out and there's only 3 installers because everyone's dead or retired because they just can't do it anymore. Where's my money? If you're 8 months out and there's 3 of us, where's my money?
Yep. Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I got to jump in here real quick. Make plans now to be at the Ultimate Flooring, Stone, and Tile event in Las Vegas, February 1st through 3rd. Register for the International Surface event at intlsurfaceevent.com using promo code EXH2 for free exhibits or virtual pass courtesy of the Floor Academy podcast. Whether traveling to Las Vegas for in-person networking and product sourcing or connecting virtually at the hybrid event, the industry will discover highly anticipated exhibiting brands, new education, new show features, and much more. Once again, use code EXH2 on the International Surface event website and get yourself a free pass so that you can attend virtually or get on the convention showroom floor and come find me. Let's hang out. It'll be great. All right. So yeah, I mean, I don't like, is this kind of where your head's at? To, like, I don't think I'm crazy. I mean, I know I'm crazy, but I don't think this idea is that crazy because now you're already in a position where like, look, I need X amount of dollars. If the stores are going to give it to me, I'm just going to go find it on my own.
Yeah. No. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, obviously being in this industry, like you're going to sell your own jobs on top of, even if you do subcontract for a store, you're going to sell your own jobs also, and getting the dollar a foot, it's not hard. It really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't sold a job of my own that I haven't been able to get $12 to $15 a yard on. It's definitely doable, especially like where I live at in Michigan, Oakland County. Okay. Oakland County is, if I remember correctly, the richest county outside of like where Michigan College is.
Okay.
So it's the richest county in the state. There's no reason for, if you're servicing that area, for you to not make more money. And I can understand once you get down into like working in Detroit or, working north in Flint and stuff. Sure, the rates might be a little lower there because people can't afford it, but there's people that will work for those rates also, There's no reason for, I mean, the cost of my house is higher than the guy that works in Detroit and lives in Detroit, I don't own my own house. I rent. My rent's $1,200-$1,300 a month. That's one whole check. It's gone.
Yeah. And you got kids and you got cars and you got electricity and food bills and it's all out the window real quick.
It adds up. And if you're not making the money you're supposed to, your head can get underwater really quick. It will overcome you really quickly if you happen to fall behind just a little bit. It takes a long time in this industry, especially, if you're only doing carpet, it takes a while to recoup sometimes.
Hmm. Well, I mean, like I my neighborhood's interesting. So like the north side of my street is a nicer shopping center where the Home Depot and Walmart and movie theater are, and there's one of the pet stores and some restaurants and the haircut place. My kids go to swim lessons over there. There's my condo complex, and then there's some like a regular set of homes, and then down on the corner is like a okay looking apartment complex. On the south side of the street is a neighborhood where there's a lot of the elementary schools right there, but then all the homes in that neighborhood are kind of they're run down. They don't look the best. They haven't been kept up very well. And there's also there's I want to say within probably 3 miles of my house there's 4 pawn shops, like 3 check cashing places, and there's the drive-through liquor store, then there's 2 convenience stores, and the Wally World. So like plenty of places to be able to go and get liquor, and you have and you have the liquor advertisements. So like if you continue north from where I live, it's a really nice, like there's you don't have the liquor ads, and the pawn shops and the check cashing places aren't up that way. But as you head south, like they're still there. And so like I literally live on a line where it divides economic status, and
That's about
it's crazy.
how I am too. Like I'm 30 minutes from Detroit and then 30 minutes south of $1 million homes,
Mm-hmm.
Slap right in the middle.
But it's you can it's amazing how you can see how the things we're talking about affect these different environments. Like I know there's a lot of families in the neighborhood south of me that like mom and dad both work like 10-12 hour days. The kids aren't getting the attention, and they have to because they're struggling to pay the bills. And you walk across a street that's 50 feet wide maybe, and all of a sudden like mom gets to stay home, dad makes slightly better money. It's absolutely absurd how a little financial education that I think should be standard for everyone. I pisses me off that schools can't teach basic financial education, because this would solve a lot of these problems. You wouldn't be where you're at now discovering this 10 years into a trade. Like, well, I mean, I know something's kind of wrong, but like not really. And now you're sitting down, you're really looking at it and digging into it, and you're like, this is so screwed up. Like, I don't even know how did I do this for a decade? And
I honestly, I don't know.
Some simple education starting in kindergarten about money and how it works would have solved the problem.
Yeah. It definitely would have. It would have helped. It would have at least helped. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of help, just to have your foundation, even in understanding how money works, would have went a long way. Simple things will make the harder things easier, especially in a money circumstance. Knowing how to manage it, save it, spend it where you need to spend it, and investing in yourself,
Yeah. So what does that picture look like for you now? I guess is like, how are you going to continue to invest in yourself? Like, this is obviously a big first step, is like waking up and realizing like, okay, here's a problem. I need to fix it. So where does it continue for you? Like, what do you see happening for you going into the future?
Well, I mean, as far as investing in myself here, I've, COVID obviously had a big impact on our industry. I went 7, 8, maybe 9 months without working at all, which, I got to spend time with the family, but I was also able to sit down, sit back and think about the job itself. And I made a list of all the things that I needed to get when I was able to go back to work and had the extra expenses. Um, I needed a new truck for work. I needed a trailer. There was a bunch of tools that I've had since I started, you know, just being able to remember that, tools will last a long time. They're not meant to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Buy yourself the nice tool instead of the cheap one. Uh, just not being scared to take a risk every once in a while. I think investment wise also. Um, because I like before the truck I got now, like I had an old beat up crappy Dodge truck. It was
Mm-hmm.
a 2001 with 400,000 miles on it. Barely making it to work every day. Went and got the new truck. That investment, it was a big investment. It was tens of thousands of dollars, but in my daily expenses, I save a lot of money because I'm not using as much gas, which in a month it adds up to like saving $1,000, and I'm driving a nice new truck. Just
Yeah.
being able to step back, assess where your money's going, where you should be putting your money. You have to know where you need to invest in yourself, essentially. Obviously you have your bills you got to pay. You got to keep your roof over your head. You got to keep gas in your truck if you're going to go to work. But, buy yourself new tools to make your job easier. It helps a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's something as little as I bought the miter cutters,
Okay.
for doing like shoe molding and like just not having to get up, go to the saw, come back, get back on the floor, get up, go to the saw, get back down on the floor. You're saving yourself 20 minutes a day because you spent $30 one time on a tool. Investing in the right tools.
I agree. And I think I lost my train of thought. I agree that tools are a huge part of it, right? You buy the right tool, buy the good one up front, just spend the extra money, get it. It's going to last you longer. It's probably going to hold up better. And then having the stuff to cut time off your day. Like you said, if you can buy the snips for quarter round and you're there doing it, man, that's beautiful. If you save 20 minutes a day, that's an hour and 40 minutes a week of being more productive and able to put hopefully more money in your pocket because you can get to the next thing a little bit quicker, which that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You got a new truck. Like you present better when you
Yes.
roll up,
Yes.
I should find a picture of the truck of the Expedition I was driving. I cannot believe people hired me pulling up in this 2000, what was it? I had like a 2001 Expedition, man. It looked like it was just falling apart. In fact, it couldn't go in reverse when I purchased it. Like the gear was shot and you had to floor it and eventually it would catch, but for a year straight I drove it and I was very aware of everywhere I parked that I would not park on a hill so that I couldn't get out. And generally, I would make sure that I parked in the back of the parking lot where I could just pull forward.
Yeah.
And I drove it that way for a year before I had the money to get the trans fixed. Like it was,
Oh yeah.
and nobody should have hired me.
No.
It was
And
ghetto.
that's the thing too. Like I still have my old truck. Like I turned it into a toy as soon as I got the new truck. Like and that's if you can like that and still have fun with them, awesome. Because you already made your money with it. Hang on to it. Have some fun. Like it's an ORV truck now.
Okay. And then, man, dude, there was something you said about you're investing back into yourself and you're taking the time during COVID. I had some thought and now I can't think of it, and it's bothering me. Oh well, I guess we're gonna move on. So you've got you got a meeting set up for tomorrow. For you on Monday. This won't make sense in the grander scheme of things. So Tell me a little bit about what this meeting is and why you set it up and what your hopes are for it.
Um, so the meeting is to sit down with the store owner, for the store that I sub through. His brother is the I guess the floor manager. We have a really good relationship with, working relationship, and I brought him some new rates, trying to get everybody that works there or subs through there, a little bit better pay. Like I'm just trying to help the industry, want to raise the standards essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm hoping that everybody's going to get the pay raise. Um, I mean, if not, it sucks. But if it happens, awesome. It'll buy me a few more months at the store at least.
Okay.
But
And I mean, what are you taking in with you besides just like the rate sheet? Do you have like, are you going to bring in the spreadsheet and show them like, look, this is
oh
what
yeah,
it's costing me to run, and like,
I've got multiple copies of the spreadsheet printed out. The cost of living over the last 4 years, how it's increased. The cost of supplies, how they've increased over the last 4 years. Like I've got everything,
mm-hmm.
like everything justifying the price, what it needs to be at to just be able to keep doing the job essentially, at least, a bare minimum.
Okay.
It's not quite the dollar a foot, but it's a step closer in the direction that I want to see the industry at.
Have you discussed this with any of the other installers, or are you just kind of doing this on your own?
Every single one of them.
Okay.
If they touch the fuzzy stuff, they've had a conversation with me about it at least, and I've had all of their input on everything. Uh, I've showed them the rates, and they were all, they were kind of giddy about it. Most of the guys that sub to the same store, they're a little bit older. They don't like conflict, especially when it comes to their pay. Me, I don't care. Like, you're gonna pay me, or I'll go find a different job. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I got offers on the table currently to sub through other stores. Obviously I want to stay at the store I'm at currently because it's comfortable. It's right next to the kids' school, pretty much, so it's convenient.
Okay. No, I like it. So that they wouldn't go and like it. If the store was close to accepting the rates, the other guys would not create conflict and be like, well, we're just not going to work until you agree to it. Like you would be on your own as like a standout and say like, well, you didn't accept them, so I can't do this. I got to leave. And they would
I
continue to just work for the
feel
same rates.
I feel like if it came to something like that, they'd be fine with it. Just none of them have the initiative to go in and ask. Everyone obviously is gonna complain under their breath about, oh, we don't make enough, or oh, this doesn't pay enough for this. But I think that they're scared of that conflict,
Mm-hmm.
of just going and having the conversation. Like, I'm not scared to have a conversation. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna say no, and I'm just gonna keep making the same crappy money I'm already making, so I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this was it. This was the like thing that I thought of is you've realized that even though you're subcontracting, you're still a business owner. And so you're
Yes.
looking at like, oh man, I do have expenses and overhead. And I don't think there's enough guys. Like as you've brought up these questions to the other people around the shop, have any of them had that light bulb go off that like, oh, I should be looking at this whole setup differently? Or are they all like, look, man, I just want to show up and put the carpet down or put the laminate down, and I'm going to get my paycheck at the end of the week, and that's that. Like I'm just an installer. I'm nothing more.
There's it's about 50-50. There's a lot of the guys that they're there to, it's their job, it's not their career type mentality. Like they're going to get the paycheck. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple of guys that, occasionally we get partnered up with, say we got a 300-yard job, it's got to be done in a day or two or whatever. They'll send two installers to go and do it, and then we just split the difference um, when it comes to turning a bill in. And those guys are the guys that I generally end up working with, and we're all very Like I started bringing it up to him, a couple months ago about, man, what do you think it's costing us to come out here? And then, when you start splitting jobs, how much money are we losing because we're splitting a job? And, there's, I think probably four of us all together that's been kind of the conversation in general anytime we see each other is, oh, what are you looking like? What are you making today after your cost of everything?
Mm-hmm.
There's a handful of that don't really care, and then there's a handful of them that do care about it.
Is that mindset, do you think it's infective? Is it infective in that it's, like once you kind of get that bug, it's there to stay? And do you think it's helping everybody raise their game that's participating in it?
I definitely think that it's infective. So I think it was Thursday that I started like my spreadsheet, and I printed one out and I took it to the one installer I'm real cool with. We go out to dinner from time to time. We take our wives out together,
Mm-hmm.
and I showed it to him. It was like, holy shit, man! You like broke this down to everything. Like, are these your numbers? Like your real numbers? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, all right, well, can you make me a copy of it so that I can, compare my numbers to your numbers and see, where everything's at. And then Friday, I gave him a copy of it in the morning. By the end of Friday, I had 4 or 5 other guys text me to ask me to print out like my spreadsheet with like
Mm-hmm.
a blank one, you know? And I was like, yeah, of course. It's going to cost you, 2 cents for the piece of paper, though.
That's right. You get your
But
business expenses back.
yeah, that's how everything, you know. It's definitely like an infectious like thinking piece.
Mm-hmm.
It I think just opening other people's eyes to like not necessarily the money that we're making, but the money we're actually losing
Yeah.
the work.
No, I think that's awesome. I love hearing it because that's like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but that's the goal here, is to get this information out to other people. I'm nothing special. I just run my mouth, and it happens to be about something I think can make a big difference. And now there's people whose lives it's actually impacting and making a huge difference in, and that was the goal all along. Is this industry? I think the organizations that look in partnering with the manufacturers and the retailers, look, I respect it, I get it, but I don't think you can fix this industry from the top down. It doesn't
No,
it doesn't roll that way. You have to strengthen the bottom. If we're the people out there using the materials and we're broke, then yeah, I'm going to run to the box store and buy garbage materials. If I can get an education because I have the ability to take a day off once in a while and actually go sit down and listen to my manufacturing reps at a show or at a store or the tool supplier, whatever it's going to be, and I can make the money to buy the premium products, then I can afford to do a premium job. Like it's all going to roll uphill because it doesn't roll downhill. Like, it's been proven time and time again. Like, strengthen the bottom and you're going to be so much better off. And that's what needs to happen. That's why this thing exists, is that this message needs to get out to the guys like you that are like, well, I don't really know what to do. And now here's this laid out kind of path and idea system of like, and you can manipulate it any way you want, but you just have to get that basic message first, that you are valued more than
yeah,
what you're led to believe. Like, I think that's often the problem, is that the installers just don't feel valued. They feel taken advantage of, and it's
yeah,
got to change.
yeah.
All right. I'm going to cut us here. We're going to meet back up in 2 days, and I would love to hear what happens at this meeting, if they're receptive, if they're not receptive, and we'll kind of play on that for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And I think that will, that'll wrap it up. So folks, we will be back and we will hear the tail end of this tale. So we will catch you then. Welcome back to the Floor Academy podcast. This is a weird one. We are now in part 2 with my guest, Chuck Meyers. We had taken a brief pause for him to go have a meeting with the owner of his retail store after saying, hey man, I could use a little bit more money. So Chuck, welcome back. Thank you for following up. We've had a little bit of an issue pulling this off, but it's okay. We've made it happen. So fill us in, man. You were, I have brief details. So you were supposed to have a meeting on Monday. It got pushed to Friday, and some installers told you they would be there with you, but they didn't show.
Yep.
So what happened, man?
I mean, I think the other guys kind of just got cold feet. I mean, I showed up. The owner of said store was there. He wasn't there long. We were able to get to a, I wasn't trying to argue rates on any hard surface stuff or, you know, nothing crazy, no price increases across the board for everything. I was more, fighting for the carpet labors because it just wasn't high enough. We were able to come to a decent compromise, I feel.
Okay.
You know, like I had said before, like I remember starting and getting $3, maybe $3.25 a yard on labor beforehand. You know, when I started, I was up to 5.
Okay.
And after this week that we're currently working on, which is the week before Christmas, I will be billing $6.75 a yard on carpet, which I believe is a step in the right direction.
Okay.
Then I said, you know, hey, in 6 months, let's meet again. You know, if the cost of living continues to go up, we're going to have to get more money. But I think we hit a reasonable mark for the time being.
Okay. And so you're at 675 now. And what was it before? You were like 350 or so?
Oh, no, we were at 5.
At 5.
So,
okay. Well, hey, it's 25 cents a yard or no? Like you got $70.75. So you got 7 out of 9 yards.
Extra.
Yeah. Well, you got 7 out of 9 yards at 25 cents. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, like I said, it's a step in the right direction. You know,
Definitely.
and I think your cost sheet actually played a big part in that. You know, just being able to break down, hey, this is what this costs, this is what this costs. And then obviously, you know, I took in my personal bills along with that. And, you know, store owners they're all about numbers. You got to put numbers in front of them for them to be able to understand your concerns. It's not so much, oh, I work really hard, I need more money. You got to, well, I work really hard, I need more money, and this is why. You know,
well, you went and talked to him businessman to businessman. It wasn't, hey, I'm an installer, like I just need more money. You were able to give direct reasons why this is what it should cost. And I think that you're right. That's the difference is you went and approached him as a businessman on an equal playing field. You both have costs and overheads and you can talk businessman to businessman as opposed to, please, sir, can I have another? Like you're not, you know, it's not some, what, I can't even think of the name of the book, you know, can I have some more porridge? What is that? I can't, Oliver Twist. There we go.
Yeah.
You know, you're not in there as like as a poor little kid, like begging for food. And I think that's usually how the conversation goes. And you brought it to him in a much different way and said, these are the hard facts. So this is why I need this.
Yeah. No, I think, breaking down the aspect of, I mean, I wouldn't say that I live, you know, paycheck to paycheck by any means, but it's close enough that it's uncomfortable. You know, if
Yeah.
I wanted to live paycheck to paycheck, I'd go get a job at, Walmart. I wouldn't be in
Hmm.
a skilled trade,
Yeah.
or, I'd find a job with less meaning, even, you know, a more robotic
Hmm. Hmm.
job.
Well, and you have pride. And so this episode will come out before the episode with Jane Walker, but we're doing this follow up after my recording with Jane Walker. It's all very wonky right now, people. I can't deal with it. We talked about what CFI was originally trying to do, from like what Jim Walker wanted to do, and he was like, "I just want guys to have," like she was saying that her husband just wanted guys to be proud of what they did, and you can be, but like you want to be proud of it all the way around. And I think you're working on that to make these, the shop owner help realize it, and the managers and the salespeople, like, hey man, like we need to be valued. We're part of the team too.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny. I mean it isn't funny, but I happened to be talking with one of the older installers after the fact, and he seemed, I don't want to say jealous, but um, surprised at how I was able to just talk back and forth
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
the owner of the store. And he was like, I've been here since the doors opened. My dad worked here, type deal. And I've never had a conversation with the owner like you had. How did you
Wow.
manage that? I've always been
Wow.
honest with him. I asked him about his kids. I asked how his birthday was, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's more things in a business relationship than just business, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's okay to ask, hey, how was Jack's soccer game, or just little things like that.
Well, I'm wondering
It
if
goes a long way.
oh, for sure. But I think you're viewing you and him as equals in a partnership, whereas he was probably viewing it from the very beginning as, even though he's a subcontractor, he still feels like an employee. And so he doesn't have the right to go and ask. Like, I don't know, maybe that's his mindset, right? Like, I can't go and ask for a raise. I can't talk about the numbers with him. Like, that's not my place. But it is, because he does technically own a business,
Yeah,
and he needs to go and do it. And like, I hope what you did inspires the other guys to be like, oh, hey, look at this. Like, we can do this. And it's not a gang up on the guy and like,
no,
turn it into like pitchforks and torches. But if you can, there needs to be a brotherhood on one side and the other, but there has to be a symbiotic relationship. He can provide you with the materials to install, and you can install them, and let's talk about this and discuss it and come to a fair agreement. You start charging a little bit more, you pay us a little bit more, you put a little bit more in your pocket. It works out for everybody.
yeah. Well, that was the initial thing when I brought up, well, let's, because he was kind of avoiding of talking about pay rates or
Mm-hmm.
commission values with me through text. And I said, well, let's sit down. I took your advice on it, and I said, well, let's sit down. Let's me, you, the floor manager, and the store manager. Let's all sit down. We'll
Okay.
have a powwow.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure it out. There's not too many. Again, there's not a whole lot of guys my age and younger in this industry. There are some. I think they're far too less than what they should be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, I'm not going anywhere, but it's going to get to a point where stores, like in this current situation, aren't going to have a choice but to deal with people more in the mindset of I am. Like, hey, we're equals. You might own the store. I own the labor, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without the guys that came before me, you wouldn't be a business. You wouldn't be in the business that you are. You'd just be another floor distributor, you know.
Yeah.
There's tons of those.
Yep. No, I totally agree. So you've reached a little bit of a conclusion here. You got a little bit of a rate increase on the carpet. So what's next? I know there was like, maybe I go out on my own, maybe I stick around until I can build it up. So what's the plan?
Well, coming January 1st, I am going to be pushing to do just more selling myself and less relying on stores to
Okay.
supply me with said work.
Okay.
So,
So
like I
you're
said, I
gonna
want to hit that.
you want to push for rate increases when you're with them, but you do really
Yes.
want to go out on your own and kind of do. And I can respect that. And I think what you're doing is great. Is it's showing people, look, you have options. Like, I don't have to be tied down. You are.
Yeah.
What you're doing can be a voice to so many, because I get to sit behind this microphone week after week and I run my mouth. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm over here like, hey, look, you can do all these things. But I've never, like, I shouldn't say I've never, I subcontracted one project and I said, I will never do this again, when I looked that they were getting $1,000 and I was walking away with 300 of said $1,000. But had I sold that job on my own, I would have been at 1,000 to 1,200. So I was like,
Right.
something wasn't right in that equation to me. And so from there, I was like, well, screw it. I'll just go sell higher and make more money and not have to work as often. So, but I think this is a great platform for you to stand on, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a soapbox, but it can be like, hey, look, guys, this is what I'm doing. I'm happy. Like, come ask me questions. I'm happy to work with you. Get you pointed in the right direction, answer questions, tell you, how to do it. Like, I think you're in a really good position for the guys at the shop to look up at you. Just like that old guy, his mind's blown right now. He doesn't get it.
Probably. I would more than likely say yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I'm one of those outspoken guys. Like, I'll walk up to, a new contractor there at the store and be like, hey, what's up, man? What do you do? What do you install? What's your name? How long you been doing it? I try to meet. I mean, we're in a job where we're able to meet new people every day. So why not do it in your work environment outside of, away from the job?
Yeah.
Also.
Well, and I think that's such a different mindset. So I had my, back in July, I started doing, a monthly meetup. So I started a Facebook group, just Arizona flooring installers, and I'm trying to build up the community here, because I was like, well, if I'm trying to do this on a national level, that's great. But if I'm not trying to help my local community, like, I'm missing a step. So we had our 6th meeting tonight, and a couple of people came out as per usual. And there was a guy that was like, look, I'm on my own, but I did the subcontract thing for like the dirtiest of the dirty companies in town for like 15 years. And everybody thinks you're trying to steal their project, even though there's enough for us every day. Everyone thinks you're trying to steal their project, or you're their competition. And like, that's the mindset that's created in these workrooms. And it's just not the case. It's hurting us. And so I think what you're doing is great, because you're stepping outside of the box and being like, hey man, we can do it this way. This is great. We can all get along and be friends. And, maybe I'm really good at carpet and you're really good at a hard surface. And like, hey, look, I'll take the carpet half. You take the hard surface half. We'll knock it out a little bit quicker, and we can both be on our merry way making some cash.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I want to say that's one of the biggest problems. Like, I remember first getting into the industry, and like, the carpet guys always talked. Then you had the hard surface guys, and then you had like the batshit crazy like vinyl sheet guys that kind of just stuck to themselves. But I like, once I started learning like the hard surface aspect of the job, like, I was able to intermingle. And I've noticed, even recently, like, the carpet guys that were working through the store that I work through are now talking to the hard surface guys. And I feel like I kind of bridged that gap a little bit, because there aren't many guys that are multi-surface installers in the area,
Okay.
So I don't know. I think that's maybe that's the next plan, is just try and get more installers together. I don't know.
Do it.
I want to see the industry do better as a whole.
I love it. It's got to start somewhere, man. Someone has to be the one to go and do it. And so I would encourage you to go be the voice. If that's the like role you want to play, somebody has to take it and everyone's going to laugh at you. But in, 6 months, a year, 2 years, when it's all of a sudden going really well, they're going to be like, oh, wow, look at that. It's so stupid. Everyone will convince you to not do it at first, but then once it becomes a big thing, it's like, oh, wow, look at what happened. But they all dogged on you at first.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel the same way, right? Like, I'm a engineered hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank guy. Like, I don't know how to do carpet. I can't do sand and finish. I can't go and install tile and showers. And so at first, when I started this podcast, like, it was really weird to like, okay, I want to like, this isn't like, it wasn't a tile thing and it wasn't a carpet thing and it wasn't a hardwood thing. It was an industry thing of rates are low, businesses aren't being run properly. Like, we have to deal with all of it. And so me going in, like, it's been really weird to go and build those relationships for me when I can't sit at a table. So it surfaces in this past June, like, I was invited out with Shannon Huffstickler. And so it was the Schluter party. Everyone there can do tile. I'm the guy that's like, I kind of understand what you're saying because I pay attention enough, but I have no idea what's going on right now. Like, it's just it's an awkward space to be in, right? Or I can go hang out with the carpet guys and they start going on. And I'm like, I can tear it out when it has cat pee on it, and I make good money doing it. Like, I don't know, dude. You're talking about seams and 70 ounce, and I got no idea. None. So, but I can talk the business side, and that like bridges the gap for me. I love that you're passionate about what you do, and that's what matters. Is go be passionate, take pride in what you do, and enjoy it, and go try and share it with somebody else. And that's what I want to see, is people just being out there loving life. And I think that's kind of what you're at. Like, you just want people to get a fair wage for a fair day's work, and be able to enjoy what they do instead of struggling. So I commend you. You've done a great thing by even starting the conversation, but then being successful at it. Like, I commend you, Chuck. You've done a great thing.
Yeah, I think that was kind of really an eye opener. It's making me want to push myself even more. There was, I don't know how long ago it was, but there was someone on your podcast talking about having meetings with a school board about getting trades back into schools. And that could be even, a side road for me. Like, I would love to do that. I think a lot more, I guess me and you kind of grew up in the same generation. We're a little bit more on the newer side of the industry, I would say. We grew up, we had cell phones type deal. College was forced down the throat. And I think there's definitely a lot more kids that would benefit being hands-on versus taking the college route,
I agree.
A lawyer, doctor. There's, construction, even if they don't end up doing flooring, just to open that door, show them, hey, you can make a good living at doing something with your hands.
Totally agree. There's so much that can be done that's not being shown right now. And you don't have to have college, and it'll come around. It's going to come around. It's going to have to, because there's going to be nobody this trade can become so lucrative that everyone's going to want to do it. And that's the problem I think you and I will see, and the younger guys that are just coming up, is that we don't need to make it exclusive and like guard it, but we need to make sure that whoever we let in, we're training properly and giving them a good foundation so they can continue to be successful. Like, I would love to see rates go so high that an installer can make $200,000 a year doing the same amount of work as they do now if they're making $100,000. But I would love to see enough quality people want to join the industry that maybe that rate comes down to 125, 150. because you're gonna have to put people in to actually make it good. But let's stand firm on our rates, and as there's more people and they're all doing better quality, like the rate has to go down. It's a supply and demand thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think at some point it's going to become so lucrative that everybody's going to be trying to do it, and we need to have our guards up a little bit about who we let in and why, and make sure that we're training them properly. The system of don't give anybody any information and then they quit and go out on their own after 6 months, that's already proven a failure. So now let's give them everything and set them up for success, and then maybe they'll stay. But if they do go out on their own, they're not my competition. They're now an equal, and they're raising the bar in the marketplace. That's what I want to say.
That's one thing like I've never understood is like the whole like gatekeeping concept of flooring. Like I'm training, I've had my handful of helpers or apprentices, whatever you want to call them. None of them, I had my younger brother that worked for me and a really close friend. The only two, I think I've had maybe 20 guys work under me. Okay. And they could have easily gone out, done their own thing, and I was all for it. I want to see people be successful. If they look successful and they are successful, well, who taught you?
Yep. You get
it. What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
If you're supplying the industry with well-learned installers, the only thing you're going to get from it is beneficiary. If anything, you're going to end up with someone else that's as motivated or more motivated. It's, again, what goes around comes around. If you're helping the industry's going to help you. So
I agree.
There's no reason to keep secrets.
You are right on board. You're preaching my message for me. I don't even have to. I love it. You want to take over? Here. Hold on.
No.
You don't want to try and do one of these a week?
I mean, I could try, but no.
Oh, man.
No, I like being on the floor too much.
Okay. That's fine. Everyone's got a role to play, and that's okay. But no, once again, I think you've got a great attitude about it. You have the right mindset. You're taking on challenges that I don't see a lot of people taking on. And so once again, I commend you for that. I thank you for doing what you're doing in your area. There needs to be more Chuck Meyers all over the place, standing up for the other people around them and showing them like this doesn't have to be a fight amongst ourselves to get the crumb. We can fight and get a piece of bread each, and then we don't have to treat each other like enemies. And excuse me, I'm sorry, it's late. I enjoyed a beer. Okay, folks, like, leave me alone. You got any final thoughts? Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you about this?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything. I mean,
okay.
If someone wants to ask a question, I'm on your page all day, just about checking it periodically.
Okay, cool. So if people want to reach out, how do they reach you, Chuck?
Well, you can catch me on Facebook. I'm sure I'm in the comments section somewhere. Meyers Flooring on Facebook. If you want to email me, it's Meyers Flooring LLC at Yahoo.
He doesn't even know his own email.
It's terrible. I don't use it. I'm not gonna lie. Facebook is everything.
But you're Chuck Meyers the third?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Meyers, folks, not Mayer. Meyers.
I have nothing to do with baloney.
Right on, man. I appreciate it. Look, these two parts, they're probably going to run a little long. I think this was a great episode to put together. It was really inspiring to kind of see this like thought process and the conclusion of it. So once they're both combined on the podcast here coming up, it'll be awesome. I'm going to wrap us up. Thanks for joining us. Check out flooracademypod.com. Visit the store. Check out the business budget calculator, which Chuck used to help learn his numbers so that he could not go broke anymore, even though he was doing okay. Let's build up a savings account, folks. Let's build a retirement. If you like the show, go ahead and subscribe on your listening platform of choice, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Click the subscribe, leave a review. Visit the Patreon, patreon.com/Floor Academy. $5 a month can go a really long way in helping to support the show and me to continue to produce this content. Check out our sponsors, and we will be back next week. Flooring Domain is an award-winning online flooring directory and service marketplace that helps you find more clients, grow your online presence and reputation, or your brand. Whether you're a carpet store, flooring installer, perhaps a tile contractor, there are projects for everyone with a daily stream of clients visiting Flooring Domain and looking for experts like you. Flooring Domain offers a free listing option that allows you to find new client leads. You can set up your free account at Flooring Domain by visiting flooringdomain.us. Have you ever tried to install LVP on steps only to struggle with the solution for the stair nose? Introducing Snap Caps by SnapTech. You simply send SnapTech the exact LVP your client selects, and they'll turn it into a perfectly matched stair nose that clicks flush into the tread plank. For a simple and reliable solution, visit www.snaptech.biz to learn more or order. And I've got the little sample piece right here. So they round the front off of the actual plank. It still has the locking mechanism in the back. And you will get yourself a 48-inch plank to click into the other plank, as opposed to the overlap nose or the flush mount noses that are too skinny and don't generally actually sit flush, and it's really frustrating to work with at all, and you're pin nailing it. You don't want to pin nail it, and you're taping it and it doesn't stay. It's a good solution. It looks very good. Check it out. And like I said, we'll catch you next week. Thanks, everybody.